Isn't it odd that this Dorbic guy clearly knows that he's balding, but all he's doing is covering his hair with bangs and he thinks that's going to be the solution. But that's not going to be the case. Because the more he's ignoring his hair loss, the follicles on his head are eventually going to be infiltrated by too much DHT and it's going to make them shrink and not be able to grow strong hair structures. If you're already balding and you think that getting a hair transplant is going to be your one and done solution, that's where you're wrong. Because most hair transplants actually fail, and this Canadian bodybuilder explains why.
You are essentially just putting a band-aid on the issue. So if you get a transplant, you are putting hair on your head, but you're not preventing further loss of, your actual existing hair. So oftentimes it's like you're almost trying to row against a current or something. And it's like you are continuously getting pushed back. And eventually you're going to get to a point where you have so few visible hair follicles even left that are healthy that it doesn't matter.
That's why I reject about 80% of my clients that come to me that want to get a hair transplant, is because the problem is their hairline hasn't gone far back enough yet and there's still so much they can do. Looking at the hair follicle anatomy, at the bottom has a bulb called the dermal papilla. Now we want to make sure that it's strong, that it's dense, and it's not too weak or surrounded by way too much DHT, so it creates these very strong hair structures so they don't fall out easy. That's the reason why I started telling a lot of my clients now to swap over to using the spectral DNC with 5% Minoxidil. We're aiming for the follicles to be working extra harder with our papillas in the areas that are showing signs of thinning so they stay thick. About a month ago, I had a young client come in who was only 19 years old, really wanting to get a hair transplant because his hairline had gone far back and his crown area was thinning really badly, but I told him not to take that risk and try using spectral DNC for at least a month consistently before coming back to me. When he came back a few days ago for a follow-up, the amount of progress that I seen on his hairline, and especially in the area where he was showing signs of thinning, got me to a point where I didn't even think he needed this at all. I was surprised because when he first came in the waiting room, I honestly didn't even recognize him because of his hair. Results may vary from person to person, but you really need to be consistent with this if you want to see any progress. If you're noticing signs of balding and your hairline's receding, I'm telling you, try out the spray. I'll leave you a link so you can get one too.